So today we're going to be talking about 20 different ways that you can boost your off-page EAT signals with Google. As you probably know by now, Google is going around and smashing websites that they believe are not trustworthy sources of information, and off-page EAT signals are a great way to establish yourself as trustworthy. And not only that, they'll help establish your brand and help keep you safer from future Google algorithm updates. And be sure to watch the end of the video because we're going to be covering a bunch of tactics and a lot of them are completely free. All right, let's get into it. So I am Chris Gegis, and you probably know me from my link building agency over at sterlingsalot.co or our Facebook group or our YouTube channel. Or you might have just seen me around on some podcasts or at some SEO conferences, but you can head over to my website for more information on me. So very quickly, what exactly is EAT and what are off-page EAT signals? Like I mentioned before, EAT in a nutshell is how Google evaluates if you are trustworthy or not, and that can go both for your brand as well as a person. And then you can have on-site EAT signals as well as off-site EAT signals. On-site EAT signals are signals that you can find on your website that are very easy to make. Some examples of things are your contact page, maybe an About Us page, pages where you can get support, things like your privacy policy, terms of service, and disclaimer pages. It can also include things like having author pages, which of course link out to credible social profiles, as well as things like demonstrating firsthand experience and expertise when you are writing your articles. So these things on your website help establish trust with Google, but then you have your off-site EAT signals, which are much harder to do because you're essentially seeing what the rest of the internet feels about you or your brand. But of course, we are SEOs and we know how to game this. And before we get into the 20 tactics that you can increase your off-page EAT signals with, first of all, let's cover how you can find some of these things yourself. So to do this, you can enter in someone's name or maybe a brand that you know, maybe it's a competitor of yours, and then you can enter their name or their brand name in, and then minus site colon, and then their main website here. So now you are getting every mention of this person or brand on the internet that is not coming from their own website. And then scrolling down, you'll quickly start to see a bunch of pages they are mentioned on the internet that do not come from their own website. So you can see Matt here is mentioned on places like the Search Initiative, Reddit, Twitter, LinkedIn, Amazon, user testing, clothes.com, businessmethod.99 signals, apple.com, and on and on and on. And this is important because you can really reverse engineer how to create off-page EAT signals from someone who's already done it. So this is a super important skill to have as an SEO, but just as a marketer or any kind of business person in general, really. So highly recommend doing this with some people or brands in your niche for some good ideas. So first up, we have social media and social profiles, and these are a little bit different. So for social media, you just go and create your main social media profiles, and then you get active on those platforms. You can see by searching for my name here, I am quite active on X as well as LinkedIn because these are both places that have a lot of people talking about SEO related topics. By being active on social media platforms, you are showing Google that you are active on other places on the internet and you're not just trying to game them for SEO traffic. Second up, we have social profiles, which is really the same as social media, except you might just create some social profiles on social media that you're not even using. As we know, Google has this patent here for detecting social media profiles of people and brands, so it's definitely a good idea to set up a bunch of social profiles, even if you're not going to use them, just so that you can show Google you are establishing yourself as an entity or brand on the internet. I'll put one caveat here for social media. It's actually good to be truly active on these platforms rather than just having a profile that just sits there and does nothing. And not only is this good for establishing your brand and establishing off-page EAT signals, but of course it will help you generate some additional leads and business as well. Next up, we have guest post and link insertions, aka niche edits. Usually when we're thinking about these things, we're thinking about building backlinks, but you can also think about them in another way, which is other websites talking about your brand on the internet. So you could either go buy some guest posts or link insertions from a provider such as ourselves over at Sterlingsalot, or you could build them yourself. And in these articles that you're having your links put on, you can be sure to talk about yourself or your brand in a positive light. Next up, we have paid Parasite sites, which are very similar to guest posts. However, they also tend to have a much higher authority than most guest posts you'll find. So when you're building these, yes, you can have a backlink to your site, but you can also just talk about yourself or your brand in the piece. One thing that kind of sets these apart from guest posts or link insertions is that when you're doing a paid Parasite post, a lot of the times they are a lot more open to the idea of you just writing a puff piece about yourself or your brand. So instead of being something like the 10 best ways to build backlinks, you could write an article about why Chris Gegis is the best link builder in the world. But remember that a lot of paid Parasite sites are getting hit by Google right now with manual actions, so buying paid Parasite posts might be more of a short-term play. And which parasites are currently healthy are going to be changing over time. So go ahead and search for some affiliate keywords, see which parasites are still ranking, and then you can try to get posts on those. Next up, I have Editorial Features, aka real guest posting. And a good example of this is over on hunter.io, which is of course a link building tool. We have Gail Breton here from Authority Hacker, which is a well-known brand in the SEO space. So you can see right here, they have their brand in the H1 as well as the title. And they just talk about how Gail used their tool and what kind of results he got with it. Now, to get this type of article about you or your brand is going to take a lot more work than just a regular guest post or a link insertion. However, a lot of times these are highly relevant, highly influential, and can be very good backlinks as well. So you could find a brand in your space like Hunter that actually does guest post pieces like this on their site and pitch them why you should be included or why you should have your own. Or you could reach out to other brands with a compelling pitch. It doesn't have to be about how you use their brand specifically or their tool, but the more related it is to their business, the more willing they will be to have you on their website having a nice article written for them. Like I said before, a lot more effort here than a regular guest post. Be sure to bring your A game and to pitch them something very compelling, something using unique data, something using a lot of firsthand experience, and something relevant to their business model that can also portray them in a good light or their business model in a good light. Next up, we have Reddit, and there are a couple ways to get off-page EAT signals from Reddit. Back to the Matt Diggity example over here and scrolling down, you can see this Reddit post right here, thoughts on Matt Diggity from the SEO subreddit. So of course, someone else made this one about Matt, but you could also go to a marketplace and pay someone to make a post about your brand. And then likewise, you could pay for some engagement in the form of upvotes or comments. But the Reddit post doesn't have to be just about your brand. For example, if I just Google Reddit link building and scrolling down here, there will be a ton of Reddit posts that are just about link building. And I could go into these threads and comment something regarding my brand or myself. Of course, you want to be very careful here because Redditors do not like self-promotion. So a good way to go about this a lot of the time is to go to a marketplace and to pay for someone to do this for you. So for example, in this link building feels impossible article, I could go to a marketplace, pay someone to go in and drop a comment that says something like sterlingsalot.co made link building super easy for me. I could also pay for a bunch of upvotes on that comment, and there you have it. Off-page EAT signals, as well as potentially some additional traffic coming from that post and that comment. Next up, we have forums, which works pretty much the same exact way as Reddit. First, you need to find forums in your niche. For example, here is the Warrior Forum. And just like Reddit, you can either create new posts or you can go into existing posts and leave comments on them. Also, just like Reddit, be aware that forums do not like it when you are just promoting yourself and dropping links all the time. So you could go into a forum like this, create an account, create some comments or posts related to other things that are not just about you or your brand. And then eventually, when you've built up a little bit of trust on the forum, you could recommend your brand or your service or talk about yourself in a good light. And again, links are possible on both of these things. Just be careful and try to do it as naturally as possible to avoid your comment or post getting deleted and you getting banned. Next up, we have press releases, which are really easy to do. You could get them from a provider like us over at Sterlingsalot, or you could get them from a million other providers. And in the press release, you could just talk about some news dealing with yourself or your brand, whatever you're trying to establish EAT for. So for example, for our brand, I could talk about something like how we reached a certain revenue milestone, or how we've been expanding our link building team and we think that the market for link building into the future, into the next 3 years, looks very good. Something newsworthy, not just all about how your brand is the best. If you need help with generating a newsworthy topic idea, definitely head over to ChatGPT for some help. And then when it's all said and done, your press release will be distributed to a ton of news websites. It can really be hundreds, right? It's important to note that these aren't really the same thing as something like a guest post or an editorial feature, because really anyone can go and do a press release. But I still do like using them, especially in the beginning stages of link building and off-page EAT signals, but I wouldn't want to rely on just this. Next up, we have digital PR, which is an awesome way to establish some off-page EAT signals as well as build some crazy backlinks and really establish your brand as a very trustworthy and authoritative source of information. I talk about this more in this The Best Backlinks video here on my YouTube channel, so definitely go ahead and give that a watch. And go ahead and give this video a like and my channel a sub if you're enjoying the content while you're over there. Or you could go check out someone like Ferry Kazoni's channel for more information on doing this kind of thing. But for most people, what you're going to do is you're going to go to a digital PR agency. They're going to help craft an article that would go viral. After you've got that article on your website, they are then going to pitch this idea to journalists from real respected websites and publications. And in all of these articles, of course, they are going to mention your brand and what you've done and what kind of data you've had in your study or whatever it is that's going viral. So in this case, this wedding chapel in Las Vegas hired a PR agency and they said they were going to do a free wedding for Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce if they won the Super Bowl. So of course, the news networks really liked this and it went quite viral and they got a ton of links and a ton of posts from these news websites. And in all of these articles, of course, they're talking about the brand, the wedding chapel, as well as linking to their site. Other cool things you could do with digital PR are doing things like data studies, putting together interactive maps or some kind of interactive content on your website. And this can really help establish in Google's eyes that you are trustworthy and that you are doing something very useful in your industry. Next up, we have Haro, or as it's known now, Connectively. And how this works is basically journalists are looking for answers to questions so they can use that information in their articles. You go to the platform, sign up, and answer their questions, and hopefully you will be included in their articles. And when they include you, they usually cite you, your brand name, and have a link to your website. So it's a great way to be talked about on these other publications and get a link from them as well. Next up, we have reviews. It's always good to have your clients leaving good reviews for you, and it doesn't really matter where they're leaving them, just wherever people are leaving reviews. It could be on your Facebook page, it could be on your GMB, it could be on these third-party review sites like Trustpilot or Consumer Reports, or you could actually get publications, people with websites to review your product or your service. So for example, on Matt Diggity's SERP, we can see this right here inside the affiliate lab, a review of Matt Diggity's course. So there's a couple ways you can go about doing this. You can either offer these people a free trial of your product or your service, or you could just pay for it much in the same way as you do a guest post, and you could write the review yourself, put it on their website, and it'll look like a legitimate review because it won't have your name on it. And of course, you can get a backlink from doing this kind of thing, as well as just showing Google that your service is legitimate and that other people on the internet like it. Next up, we have roundups and lists. For example, I know Matt does these news roundups in the SEO industry. So if we wrote a cool article or some kind of data study or just did something interesting over at Sir Links-a-Lot, we could then go and pitch Matt and say, hey, Matt, here's an idea for your next news roundup. We would like to be included in it. Here's what we did. Here's why it's cool. Here's why your readers will like it. Or you could try to get included on lists as well. So for example, here we've Googled best link building services. Of course, we have Reddit and Quora here at the top, which you could try to have your brand included in here by doing some paid commenting. Then we've got this Backlinko article here, 7 link building services that actually work. Okay, go ahead and send them an email and say, hey, we'd like to be included on this list. What will it take? Maybe they want to try your services for free, or maybe they'll do it just for a little bit of money. Or if you can actually just give them a good reason to include you on the list, then maybe they'll just do it for free. Lists are really cool because as well as just getting a backlink and maybe potentially driving some referral traffic to your site and some more conversions for you, you are also just being talked about in a positive light on other people's websites and establishing that off-page EAT. Next up, we have podcasts and interviews, which is actually one of my favorite ways to establish off-page EAT. And really just even doing one podcast could have you mentioned on a bunch of websites around the internet. Because when people do podcasts, a lot of times they syndicate it to a bunch of different channels. For example, Apple, Listen Notes, YouTube, there's me on Apple, of course, and just a bunch of these other sites that host podcasts. Of course, to be able to do a podcast, you're going to need something interesting to say, and you're going to have to be willing to get on video or just audio. So you can find some podcasts in your industry, reach out to them with a pitch, and hopefully they'll agree to let you on. Of course, the more interesting your ideas or your pitches, the higher chance of success here, and this is completely free to do. And a lot of people that do podcasts and interviews are always starving for new content, right? For new people to have on, new interesting topics to talk about. So really love podcasts for establishing EAT. Next up, we have influencer marketing. So first of all, you want to identify some popular influencers in your niche as well as what platforms they're on. So of course, in the SEO industry, that would be places like Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or LinkedIn. And you could just send them a DM with a pitch or an offer to create a post or a video or whatever it is that they create and talk about you and your brand in a positive light. Of course, a lot of the time, this is going to take money, unless your pitch really includes something that is highly beneficial to the influencer as well. So yes, you are establishing off-page EAT signals while you're doing this, but also at the same time, you're going to be driving some valuable referral traffic. Next up, we have PPC or pay-per-click, which is a little bit different from the other ones. PPC is, of course, paying for ads on any kind of platform. It could be Google or YouTube or Facebook or whatever. And one of the benefits of doing PPC, other than just driving people to your website via your ad, is that it can drive branded searches as well. So this is a little bit different from the other methods because they're not really creating a post or some kind of link or something on their website about you. But from people seeing your advertisements, they're going to start searching for your brand name or your name or whatever it is that you're trying to promote. And as we know, Google really likes to see these branded searches because it shows that people are actively searching for you on the internet, that they like you, that they trust you, that they want to learn more about you. Next up, we have courses, which might not be applicable to your business, but if they are, this is an awesome way to establish some off-page EAT. So I know that Julian Goley does a lot of work in the course space in my niche, which of course is SEO. So scrolling down here, we can see that he has courses over here on Udemy and School as well. So how to do this is essentially just go onto the platform, you sign up, you create a profile, and then you put a course on it. You can make it just cost $1, or you can even make it free. And you don't even really have to spend a lot of time doing this. You could just use an hour or a couple hours to create some kind of more beginner type course. That's really all you got to do to get these valuable backlinks, as well as establishing this brand presence on the internet. Next up, we have books, and books works pretty much the exact same way as courses, except the platforms that they're going to be on are different. So you can see over here, Matt has a book on Amazon. Looks like he's selling it for 99 cents, Building SEO Authority, Gaining Trust and Relevance by Publishing on Amazon and Building Links. And you can see Jason Hennessy does this as well. He's got his book over here on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Goodreads, Target. So again, showing Google via these off-page signals that you are all over the internet, that you're creating books, that people trust you, that you are an active presence in your industry. Next up, we have marketplaces, which might not be applicable to everybody, but if you are doing more of a personal brand thing, that definitely could be. I know Julian is also a good example of this one. Scrolling down, we can see his Upwork profile here and his Fiverr profile. So of course, get on the platforms, sign up, create a profile, drop some services on there. You can even price them very cheap, or you could take it more seriously and actually offer your services through these platforms, right? But again, showing Google via these off-page EAT signals that you are active on these other marketplaces on the internet, you're an active presence in your industry, and that you are to be trusted. And last but not least, we have this tactic here, which is to have happy clients. So how do you have happy clients? Provide a good service, provide good customer service, give them refunds if they want one, if they're not happy with your services, ask for reviews, ask for feedback, and really try to go above and beyond. Really, it's all these things that normal businesses just do. It's what you could learn in an intro to business course in college, right? And by doing this, you are going to naturally create these off-page EAT signals because your happy clients will eventually go around and they'll say, hey, I had a good experience with Chris on this forum or wherever else they're active on the internet. So definitely do not sleep on this tactic because yes, it takes a lot of work, but then eventually these people are going to go out and do the hard work for you. All right, guys, that's it for now. We've talked about a ton of different ways that you can go about establishing your brand on the internet, establishing these off-page EAT signals so that Google will see you as a trusted entity in your space. And moving forward in the world, if you're doing digital marketing or SEO, I think these things are going to continue to get more important over time. So definitely don't sleep on this stuff. Show Google you're to be trusted, build some backlinks in the process, build your domain authority. Win-win-win for everybody. If you like the content, go ahead and give the video a like and give the channel a sub, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.